Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of the Pitt Season 2, Episode 1. This takes place for an hour at 7 a.m., and it's a 10-month time jump, and it's the 4th of July. I love we get to start just with Dr. Robby cruising through Pittsburgh early in the morning on his bike to his shift, and we learn this is his last shift, and he's going to go on a 3-month sabbatical. So it adds more weight to the shift for Robby, and I'm sure it's going to add more tension as he's probably going to be trying to leave towards the end of the shift and not being able to with the distractions that are coming from probably firework injuries, as Dr. John hints at when he says so far no one has blown off any fingers. So we know that's going to get wild later on when fireworks start going off. I love when he goes and walks through the waiting room. They have a sign there that is shown in camera saying aggressive behavior will not be tolerated in the waiting room. So how hard did they have to beg Gloria to even get that sign up? But thank God they did. And it's cool because if you catch it in that first little scene, you see Dr. Langden waiting there with his hat on to return. I also like the moment they showed Dr. Robby seeing the plaque on the wall thanking the team from the city for what they did during the Pitt Fest tragedy, which was taking place over the course of the last couple episodes last season. So it's a nice callback to last season, a big moment to show at least some kind of recognition they get, and Robby feeling proud of what they did and the hell they went through. Now, big character we're going to meet is Dr. Al. She is the one who's going to be replacing Robby while he is on his sabbatical. So she is going to be shadowing Dr. Robby in this day. It's already making for an amazing dynamic. Seeing through the whole episode, you can count how many times they knock into each other. And then when she's asking him questions, Robby likes his space. So he goes at a really fast pace and he constantly turns around and bumps into like this wall of Dr. Al. What we learn about her character is she's divorced, she has one kid, and she's a strict rule follower. And you can also see she's embracing what's to come in the future. Like I'm already mentioning her bringing up AI, and she is obviously someone who is under the thumb of Gloria. But you got to remember with this show is they'll show you a presentation of somebody, and as the show goes on, you'll start to learn more about them, and they're not the person they usually perceive at first, and I'm sure they're doing that with Dr. Al. Now, it's great to kind of set the scene here in this episode and catch up with these beloved characters we have. Like, we see Javadi and Whitaker are not the new interns anymore, and it's great in the situation we first see them in that they make you think it's this intense situation, but it's actually just a dummy they're working on. And you see that Dr. Al came in early and had them do this mock situation, and Robby was already annoyed that she came in early before checking in with him. And she even got everybody started on these patient passports, which are also just more work. Now, one of the first big operations, this is a super graphic scene with what we're seeing in the patient, what they have to do, and all these players around the table, and the humorous moments of Samira's phone keeps going off, and at one point she has to scream, "Siri, turn off notifications." But Robby right away has to remind Dr. Al, let them do it, let them figure out the plan. Remember, he's big into teaching them, and that's what he wants this pit to be about, where we see Dr. Al's very like hands-on and jumps to taking over fast. Now I want to go through some of our return intros of these characters like Langden and Dana, and then I'm going to break off at one point into their character stories separately in this episode, and then we'll come around to the big baby mystery. Now we check in where Langden, this is his first day back from rehab, so we know he got in big trouble at the end of last season, rightfully so, for taking drugs from patients, and Robby was rightfully pissed about this. Of course, Langdon's first greeted by the patient he stole drugs from, Louie, who's this lovable alcoholic. And it was such a relief to see our girl Dana is back, because remember they were hinting at her possibly leaving forever, but she took some much needed time off. She won the Emmy for her performance last season, as did Dr. Robby. Much deserved. And I love the story they set up with her right away, taking in the new intern like the mama bear she is of the pit crew. And you have to love a fan favorite character in Dr. King, that the first look we get at her is she's distracted when she's getting caught up about what the night shift was doing, and she's playing with her stethoscope. And then she says, I didn't say anything. It was such a good moment. And another great moment was her just running over in excitement to Langden. Now we get a little bit about Samira's personal life here, and it was revealed it was her mom calling her during that operation, and that her mom is already marrying a guy she met pretty recently, and We also learned that Samira is planning to work in New Jersey as a doctor next year. So we'll see what her story kind of wraps up this season. I hope she stays in the show because there's much to learn about her. But this is all said to Dr. McKay, who I also love. This was great about the show, is I love all these characters, and they're so fascinating, and they give you little drips about them too. But she says to Dr. McKay all this, and it triggers Dr. McKay to say that she's going to be alone this weekend and that she needs to get laid. And it was just too much information for Samira. I also love we get to see Robby's point of view when he first sees Langden, and he's trying to avoid him where Langden is trying to find him, just like it was in the finale. And when Langden wants to talk to him, Robby's like, not now. And he's still keeping Langden in the doghouse while giving more responsibilities to the residents from last season, like Dr. King. And you see even Langdon's like, I would hate to think this is some kind of punishment. And the look that Dr. Robby gives him is like, yeah, it basically is. He literally did the worst thing as a doctor could do. And Robby is very much about having honor and not doing something like that. And this is great because this is seen by the residents here. So it's just them seeing all this extra tension between Robby and Langdon. And that's just going to be a fascinating story as that goes through the season. And really Langdon having to get Robby's trust again. Now, I love seeing Whitaker teaching the newbies now. One of my favorite scenes of this episode is when the new patient dies. You see the new residents are like getting ready to just leave and go to the next job. But he's like, hey, here we give a moment of silence and treat the patients as humans. And he learned this from Dr. Robby, so it was great to see Dr. Robby saw this. Just a nice moment there to really pay off something from season 1. And poor Whitaker doesn't have his new badge yet. It still says student doctor. He always just gets bad luck. I love last season, the whole running gag, his scrubs getting dirty. Now we'll see what it is this season, but already he's having bad luck with appearances. Now we see Santos is already talking smack about Dr. Al to Javati. What I love about the character of Santos is a divisive character. Whichever way you think about her, the best thing about Santos is she is a firecracker. Like when she comes on screen, stuff is going to happen. Like she causes chaos in the best of ways. And here she awkwardly leaves the convo with Javati when Javati's mom comes over. Poor Javati has to be in the same workplace as her mother, where her mother's hounding her like, why won't you answer my texts or calls? But what Santos overhears about this conversation is that Javati's 21st birthday is next Tuesday. So you know Santos is going to tell everyone about that and probably do something special for Javati. But you also see Javati's mom tells Robby, we have schedules, you have chaos. And that's when Robby's like, she's a big girl. But you see that her mom's already saying her talents are wasted down here. So I do think they're setting up some kind of story too where her mom's going to want to take her out of there, but Javati's going to want to stay, probably because of the connection she's making. Now, Dr. Al starts making suggestions already to Dr. Robby that he doesn't want to hear, like changing the name of the Pitt as the department and saying that it will eventually lead to satisfaction scores going up from patients, and that it probably subconsciously will help the workers. And that's when he's like, you have to be talking to Gloria, and she says she is. So, and that's the thing right now, we're seeing her kind of like a corporate puppet, and that's gonna really tick off Robby. Now, there's a really important scene here setting up a very fascinating storyline with Dr. King here, where Santos sees something is off with Dr. King. Dr. King says a couple of months ago, she got named in a malpractice lawsuit, and today is a deposition. But Santos is like, that's it? She's like, every emergency doctor gets sued sooner or later. You're still a resident. We're protected by the hospital. You could cut someone's head off and get away with it. She's obviously joking there. But Santos always kind of crosses the boundaries a little bit. And she does here too, where she's giving Mel different runs on her names like Malpractice. And you could see Dr. King turns around and says to herself, I'm not sure this is the case here, but studies linked bullying behavior to personality disorders. And then she goes, on the other hand, I'm known to be a bit overly sensitive sometimes. And then Dana walks by and says, Mel, you're talking to yourself again. You need something? And she says a lawyer. So just one of my favorite moments of the episode and great dialogue. And that's the thing too about Santos is there's so much things to like about her too, but she does struggle with this bullying thing and kind of saying things that are a little outdated. And we saw her do that a lot with Javati last season. So that is going to be definitely one of her character flaws and a problem that's going to still have to be definitely addressed. And it's tough because you see Santos is comforting Mel in ways too and helping her not worry about that case. And I'm interested to see how this is going to affect Mel during the day with this worry in her head about this. And it's interesting for me. I learned so much from the show. I don't know much about hospitals. I'm not this hospital expert reviewing the show. So I love learning watching the show and feeling like a resident. And I didn't even think about those malpractice type of cases hitting people even that low on the totem pole. Now, another great scene with Mel is her patient is clearly hitting on her, asking her if she drinks coffee. She is not recognizing he is hitting on her. She says, no, I avoid caffeine. And then he goes, what about boba? And she's like, I love boba. But it's really like her just having a conversation about the actual drinks he's bringing up, not actually her recognizing he is hitting on her. And talking about humorous moments that really landed for me this episode, Samira has this elderly patient who is eating marijuana cookies instead of taking her meds. And Samira tells her, like, for older people, marijuana can increase the risk of dementia. And she says, well, that sucks for old people. So again, really good humor in this episode. Okay, so now I want to break down some of these character stories of the episode where it really focuses in on them. So we'll start with Langden. So he's with the patient Louis, who's a regular, and he notices Louis breathing fast. Louis says, I've been walking more, and Langden has a great line, you need to walk past the liquor store, not into it. Now, in this big moment and big character growth for Langden, he confesses he took Louis' meds when treating him. And he opens up about his addiction to benzo. So this is clearly someone talking who's been in meetings now. We know he's been in rehab. He admits it was wrong, unprofessional. It was a betrayal of his Hippocratic oath and a crime. So he's acknowledging, too, how many levels of messed up it is. And he says, I understand if you prefer a different doctor. But Louis, like, he is so lovable. He's like, don't worry about it, doc. If the pills helped you, great. I never really liked taking them. So he really doesn't care. But I feel like some of the heartbreaking is going to happen for Louis soon because he was set up all season 1 and now they're really highlighting how sick he's getting his liver. So we'll see what happens there, but I really like the growth we're seeing in Langden and can he keep on that right path and gain the trust back of Robby. Now, like I said with Dana, I love she's with this new intern, Emma. She tells her they have a safe word, well, 2 words, hula hoop, and they get the brutal job of cleaning an unhoused person who is insanely contaminated. And Dana has a great line to Emma, I'd offer you some gum, but it's laced with nicotine, trying to quit smoking. Now, this is big too, because this makes total sense for Dana. She was assaulted last season while she was smoking outside. So is that the real reason she's trying to quit smoking? Is that PTSD there? And any way to avoid being out there open to public like that. So I really wanted to see more time with Dana this season with Emma. I think that's a cool duo, and I like that chemistry there. Like the mama bear with the lost puppy. Now, another one of my favorite characters is Dr. McKay, and I think she always gets the most fascinating patient storylines. Here she's dealing with this difficult patient who fell going to pee. Right away, she's concerned about a possible head injury, but he's rushing out of there. He doesn't want to get charged a bunch of money. He doesn't want an x-ray. And then when he says his knee hurts, she goes to check on it, and he attempts to kick her. This totally spooks her. That's why she calls someone over to be there and can see that her fears were true about his head when he's answering questions she's asking about what day it is and all his answers are off. But again, it's showing you the dangers that these doctors go through daily, even in little moments like that where he attempted to kick her. Now let's go with Santos's case, which was also fascinating. Santos is with this young 9-year-old girl, Kylie. We learned she's been to other emergency rooms already a couple times this year, and she has bad bruises. And that the dad's girlfriend brought her in, not the dad. They ask her to give her urine, and while she's doing that, in the bathroom, they're asking her if any of her loved ones have hit her, or anyone at school, and the big reveal is after she denies all this, her urine is filled with blood. Now, Santos will run into Robby and Dr. Al and update them about this. And you see the growth in Santos from last year where something like this, she'd start being really intense and panic a little. And this time she's more calm about it. Because you see as Robbie's asking her what's the next steps, she's saying it could be vaginal trauma, and that the next steps would be do the labs and decide if this is reportable. So you're just seeing a more, I would say, just mature approach to it from Santos. Now let's finish off with the big mystery that's looming that's set up, which will probably be a season arc here in this baby mystery. What's interesting about the baby mystery that was left at the hospital is that we first learn about it from the point of view of what seems like from someone who is deaf sitting in the waiting room. So you're wondering, is that her baby? Is this just the perspective we're getting of this character we'll learn more about that might not even have anything to do with it? We'll see. I love Dana's line though when she sees the baby. She's like, maybe the mom just stepped out for a smoke or something. And we get this humorous moment with Emma the intern where they ask her, do you know how to check a rectal temp on an infant? So thrown right into the fire. But there's this huge cliffhanger that ends the episode of Dr. Al looking at this baby very scared, And that's where Samir on the side is like, I missed something. What's going on? So let's hear your theories. What is going on with that baby? Where did that baby come from? And how does it connect to Dr. Al? I'd love to hear what you guys think. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. That's a great cliffhanger to leave off. And it was a long episode. Some of the episodes last season were about like 38, 40 minutes. This was 53 minutes. So some meaty episodes here. So I'm excited to see the lengths of the episodes this season 2. And it's going to be another 15 episodes, which is awesome. And we're just at hour 1 here. So it's 4th of July. You know, things are going to get crazy. But I like how this set the stage, caught us up with characters we really love. And I'm really excited to see where this all goes. So I'm going to give this episode an 8.6, and really bringing up the score is not only being interesting in setting up character stories, but really good humorous moments, especially with Dana. So I just like the direction it's going, and I have a lot of faith in this season after this show won basically all the Emmys and really won Show of the Year. So can't wait to see if they can live up to it. Let me know what you thought of it down below. Please subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of The Pitt. They come out right when the show airs, and I'll be doing interviews with cast members as well. And I'll see you next time.